All right, thank you. So this is time that we're going to just pray, kind of like the warm-up prayer to ground and center these proceedings, which are, oh, I don't
Can you
have,
be a little louder?
I just realized that I didn't have my clippy thing.
Ah,
Okay, is that better? Yes,
Yes.
okay. Okay, so we're going to just pray because that's what the circle of prayer is about. We come together in this holy instant to remind ourselves of our oneness, our connection with the divine. The divine flows and breathes me, and the divine flows and breathes you, your individual specialness, the reason you're here breathing and alive. We are all part of this an integral part of the wholeness and the design of God. And so I know because we are part of that, our mission, which is to uphold and uplift all humanity and remind each and every soul and heart that we stumbled across that we are here for God. We express it through our words, our thoughts, and our deeds. And so this prayer, this circle of prayer, is to shore up that power for this organization, which has such a holy calling, which is to just remind each and every heart that wanders in our doors that they are loved and mightily loved and are special and necessary to the whole design of God's plan, which is love and to establish heaven here with our very presence in our actions and our deeds. And so we pray for our beloved leadership, our leader, Reverend Miriam Morris, our board, and all the volunteers. We pray for our practitioners. We pray for our volunteers and our congregation. We pray for those who haven't even found us yet, but have an inkling in their heart to join a community that is local and that does good work in the world. And learn from Ernest Holmes' teachings and other beautiful authors that remind us that we are a part of God. And it's God is with us and God is through us, and we have our beingness in God. And so I'm so grateful for this truth, this reminder, this time that we come together, each and every person who's here, and especially Brian, who leads this circle of prayer on behalf of Center of the Heart. Through his wisdom, life wisdom, and the wisdom he's gained along his walk on this planet. So I'm so grateful that we get to come together for this purpose. And so I let these words rest into the capable hands of God to be made manifest and reverberate throughout time. I'm so grateful for this gathering. I'm so grateful to be here. And so I let go and I let God. I let go and I let it be. And we say together, and so it
and
is.
so it is.
Amen. Okay, take it away.
Okay. It's funny. I started writing up on this topic I'm going to talk about probably a week ago, but I got to say it's a confusing topic. And in fact, Terry, my wife, asked me this morning, "What are you going to talk about?" And I said, I'd sure like to know more about it, but it's just not quite gelling. But it did late today. And by the way, just throw this out. My music teacher from grade school, who was 102, died this week. Yeah, so yeah. He was such an inspiration. It's funny, you don't remember all your teachers, but you remember some vividly. like they could be sitting with you. And he was one of them. He taught me trombone. I was ended up being first trombone, first chair in the San Luis Obispo County honor band when I was, I guess I was 13. It's quite an honor. He was an inspiration. So I'm going to add a little bit extra about the musicians at the end during our prayer. So, thank you. Topic. Today I wanted to talk about God above the earth, on and below the earth. It's a confusing topic, and it's a big one. The Greek realms, the cosmos, were the air, the sky, the water, the ocean, and the underworld, which was hell, ruled by Hades. The chthonic gods, let me backtrack. Chthonic, what does that mean? I know because I studied English Lit, it has to do with power deriving from the land, the earth. So the chthonic gods in ancient Greece resided in or were associated with the underworld and the dead. There were some 20 chthonic deities, but the ones we remember most were the most prominent gods, and they were Hades, the king of hell, Persephone, who he abducted, she became his wife, Demeter, Persephone's mother, and Hecate, who's the goddess of night and witchcraft. And they were all intertwined in the myth of the abduction and rape of Persephone by Hades and the related Eleusinian mysteries that have to do with the seasons, because Demeter was the goddess of spring. The ancient Greeks feared these gods of the underworld because of their associations with the dead and the idea of death itself. However, the realm of the underworld also included the Elysian Fields. You've heard of that? Which is a peaceful, serene place similar to the Judeo-Christian heaven. And getting mixed up here, underworld, hell, heaven. So the underworld was not feared because it was like the Christian hell. It was feared because it represented death. Christianity, this is where it got weird for me, because there's such confliction about, well, what's the underworld? It's the place where we go if we sin, or wait a minute. Christianity has a curious relationship with God's presence on and below the earth. In Joshua 2:9, Rahab, who was a prostitute in Jericho, said to two men of Israel who had infiltrated the lines, they were about to take over Jericho, who were sent to spy on Jericho. She said to them, I know that the Lord has given you the land and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the two kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, whom you devoted to destruction. And as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. In this verse, God is present in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. But several biblical passages describe Satan as being cast down to the earth from heaven. Revelations 12:7-9 reads, Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Confusion. The Christian description of hell, presumably the underworld, is often described as a place of eternal separation from God. Actually, we're getting close here. Matthew 10:28, and do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Scary, scary stuff. Then he will say to those on the left, Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Oh, man. I'm going to show you something from 1370. Share screen. Here we go. This is from Dante's Inferno. And his conception of hell, actually, I have this book, but I think my son has it because I couldn't find it. Anyway, this is, oh, here we go again where I can't, hold on. I can't advance it. Well, let's see if this works. No, that just makes it bigger. We're going to stop that. Yeah, I can't advance because all the people are showing up displayed on the right, and that's where I have to click on the arrow to make it go forward. Well, anyway.
Well, it was a very somber.
Somber, the whole Inferno. He wrote 3 segments: El Inferno, El Purgatorio, and El Paradiso, heaven. And the Inferno has 9 circles of hell. He's accompanied by Virgil, the poet, the Roman poet. Throughout these circles of Virgil is describing each of them, and each circle has a space for dozens of different types of sinners. It's just awful. It's just a horrible version of what can happen to you if you do bad things. Very bad. But you know what? Hell is not mentioned in Genesis. All of God's creation is good. In fact, in Genesis 1:31, it reads, and God saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. He says good 4 times. This is the 4th time, but he says very good. Why? And there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day. This was the last day before he rested. Well, wait a minute. How can you have all of creation be good, and then you have this version where, well, but there's a little part of it that if you do bad things and sin, that is going to be just the opposite. Very confusing. Hell was invented to accommodate Satan and his angels. Very confusing. This is creation all very good, or is part of it good and part not? Well, the answer is yes to both. Separation from God brings fear. Unity with God brings love. Are you still confused? Let me clarify using the metaphor of the Kabbalistic tree of life. But I guess I'm not going to try and display that because that wasn't working well. The tree of life, if you'll remember from some of my past talks, is a map of creation. It shows at the top where creation was prior to existence and then was said into creation. And that is Keter and Atziluth, which is the archetypal world, the plane of will and spirit. And there's a journey down the tree of life in a zigzag formation down to Malkuth. That's where we're sitting, in a sea of the physical world, the material plane. At the base, where we are more separated from God, and then a journey back up the tree, where we are reunited with God. None of the paths on the way down or on the way up are evil places. They're just way stations. They're different emanations of the Lord. There are way stations on the journey. Parts of it contain more separateness from God, but there is reunification in the end. So let us be one with God and not separate. A solution. Both in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. This is where love and happiness lie. I think I bit off more than I can chew with that topic.
No, it's perfect. We cover stuff like that in Living the Science of Mind.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, yeah, so we're always talking about that, trying to fathom what this is. And I always heard that it's mind, since the whole shebang is mind. When we're in our human capacity, those stations, I guess, of that Dante did, is the places we go mentally when we are in separation from God, which is the whole thing. If we are thinking about God and being and communing with that, and really we're nowhere near those other levels.
We're not stuck there. Yeah. What does he say? Draw near to me and I will draw near to you.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
What were you about to say?
I think it's our human choice, our free will is where I may or may not go astray. It's my
Right.
choice, my choices, which is not exactly the same responsibility that animals and nature have. They act on instinct or whatever you want to call that, and not
Right.
the accumulation of wealth or ego or what will they think of me. I mean, that's all humankind stuff. And I think that's where we go astray.
I don't presume to know anything about the animal realm. I don't say, I know there's in the Bible or somewhere, and there's a hierarchy of man, and man is at the top, but I don't even presume to know what the whale realm is. I don't know what the dog realm is. I don't speak cat. I don't actually exclude them from their own innate wisdom and their own thought processes in regards to the whole thing.
I think Daryl Lynn's right that where we get tripped up probably has to do with what the Bible was talking about with the original sin of eating of the tree. And that's we acquired knowledge. In fact, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, there's an invisible sephira that people don't talk about a lot. And it's across a very large gap in the tree, and it's called DAAT, D-A-A-T. And it stands for knowledge, when man and women acquired knowledge. And that's good and bad. It makes us presume a lot about ourselves because we are much like God. We're not. That's part of what made us separate too. But let's have a prayer for the center.
Yes.
And let us be one with you, Spirit, and not separate. Lord, these are our prayers. Bless everything that constitutes the center of the heart without limit, including all who attend our services and events, the land, the building, spiritual source of the center, our leader, Reverend Marion Morse, our practitioners, core council, volunteers, musicians, all staff, tenants, and all events, including our upcoming Healing Arts Fair. Let 2023 be the year that all drainage, I'm going to beat this one to death. All drainage issues are fixed and paid for without new debt. Service attendance to the center of the heart doubles that of 2022. Our pool of happy, qualified volunteers expands so that no one is overburdened. You hear that one, Roxy? Yes. Donations increase dramatically. New rentals for the sanctuary space and other income opportunities increase dramatically as well. We all become more centered and in tune with you, Lord. Let 2023 be a banner year. Spirit, I'm going to break it out now for the different pieces. Spirit, bless our congregation and our center with your holy presence. Provide us with resources, the resources to keep our center flourishing. Expand the attendance to our services in 2023 by double that of 2022. We're headed there. Provide us the means to fix any deficits and the physical improvements to our center and site. Provide us insight into how to collaborate with you to accomplish these things. Give us that knowledge. Give us the means and understanding to implement these requests. Spirit, bless our leader, Reverend Marion Morse. She is your apex representative here at our center. She listens to your wisdom and instructions to draw us all closer to you. Provide her with wisdom and intuition in her mind and spirit, and in her body. Give her strength. Bless her with your love. Spirit, pour your blessings on our practitioners. Provide them energy and inspiration in their work. Bless them with a love of learning and speech. I don't think I've mentioned that before. They all speak so well. And just lovely hearing those prayers and blessings from them. Work with and through them in your service. Have them provide everyone they encounter with your power and blessings. Spirit, bless the members of the core council and volunteers. Provide them with your vision, resources, and your holy guidance to achieve outstanding successes in implementing your will. Provide our center with happy and energetic volunteers to share in the workload so that none are overburdened. I know I'm repeating that, that's important. Ensure that all of us are properly appreciative of each other's work. Spirit, bless and support our wonderful musicians, and I'm going to have an extra word about them in a minute. Guest musicians and our support staff. Ensure that we are properly appreciative of their efforts. Enhance our appreciation of music as it draws us closer to you. Give blessings on our extraordinary team who manage the coordination of our music, services, and events, preparation, setup, cleanup, audio-visual support, internet functions, and the operation of all equipment used in our services and events. It's a big load. Have us appreciate how crucial our musicians and our staff are in the proper functioning of our center. We are a successful, smooth, ever-growing, blessed machine. And so it is. But I want to say a couple words about music.
Yes.
They're important. Martin Luther, who started the Reformation in Europe, said, "My heart, which is so full to overflowing, has often been solaced and refreshed by music when sick and weary." Thomas Carlyle, famous author in Victorian England, Scotland. Music is well said to be the speech of angels. In fact, nothing among the utterances allowed to man is felt to be so divine. It brings us near to the infinite. Got a lot of quotes here. I'm going to skip down. How about one from Albert Einstein? If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think of music. There's a real tie between math and music. I live my daydreams in music. I see my life in terms of music. I get most joy in my life out of my violin. This is from a physicist. Okay, let's skip forward 100 years. How about one from Michael Jackson? People ask me how I make music. I tell them I just step into it. It's like stepping into a river and enjoying the flow. Every moment in the river has its song. Bruce Springsteen, the best music is essentially there to provide you something to face the world with. Bono, music can change the world because it can change people. Music is important. It's a lifeblood. It says more than we can say with our speech, usually. I'd like to think I'm better, but I'm not.
No, you're excellent. You're excellent that you do this lovely teaching, multiple. You're college level, okay? And I'm so grateful that you pull from so many sources. Like, I have never read Dante's Inferno. Is it an easy read?
It is not. And I had to read it. I had to read much of Shakespeare, a lot of the plays, all about him. I had to read John Milton.
Oh.
Heavy works, old works. I had to read dozens of people that wrote around the very beginning of the English language. And I had to read Dante. Even though he was an Italian, it's considered a world-class work. Yeah. So it's an interesting work. But it really gets into the nuts and bolts of hell, which seems to be everyone's favorite. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, that's what I felt. I felt like when I was going through Christianity or my walk, is that there's such they talk about, hell so much that I forgot that God was love.
Well, that is so true. And that's one of my, I don't want to say beefs with Christianity because I am a Christian, but I love Jesus and the New Testament
Yes.
much more than this God who's going to beat you up and send you down below to be tortured forever. Oh, come on.
That
That
doesn't
isn't
even
the God
sound,
I know.
it doesn't even, it's not, it doesn't come up that often like in ions either. I mean, some people have bad trips when they do, and I don't know what that's about. But I think it's their fears. I think it's their, dealing with that darkness within us,
Well,
that darkness that comes when we turn away from the light.
right. Yeah. It seems to be overly focused on. And honestly, Catholicism comes to mind because I've been reading some advice here, just I got it emailed to me regularly from a Catholic viewpoint. And it is so obsessed with if you do this, you're going to lose your soul kind of thing. So be very afraid. I'm like, wow, I was so happy a minute ago. And no, I'm not going to do that. But do I need to worry about things still? It's hard to buy into.
Go ahead, Geraldine.
Well, I was a Catholic for 40 years, and then I don't think of it as turning away from that, but just evolving past it, like graduating to a new school. So I use that basis, and I moved on to new thought.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I think about what you just said. I think is very important. Instead of focusing on, here's what's going to happen if you do this, then you're going to get this, then you'll get arrested, then you're going to get, instead of that, what we focus on expands. We teach this and we talk about this in our New Thought Center. So why not focus on what I do want?
Of course.
If you look at my chair. I mean, really, why do you think I have this chair on my screen?
I want one.
It makes me happy to see those colors. And whatever I do that, let's just say vibration, increases my vibration. My happiness vibration will just go. I could be having a really bad day, turn on this Zoom screen, sit there and go, oh yeah, I like this. But it's silly, but whatever makes me happy, or
Right.
and in the Bible it says, think of thoughts of beauty, think of thoughts of joy, and consider the love that's out there for us, not all the bad things. Here's all the things I don't want to have happen to me. My back hurts and my checking account's overdrawn, my car needs new tires, and my dog is sick. I mean, really, how do you think I'm going to feel if I dwell on that? That
Pretty
doesn't
bad.
aren't happening. It means I can shift, literally like a stick shift in a car. I can shift gears. And how do I want to feel? What do I want to think about? What's going to bring me joy? Let's go there. I still have to deal with this stuff. I still
Yeah.
had to put money in my checking account because new tires made me overdrawn, whatever. I still had to deal with it, but I was a happier person dealing with it in joy instead of, oh, it's going to be awful. Because what I focus on really brings about my mood.
It's difficult. Like I want to go to attend my grandmother's church because they'd like me to be there.
Sure.
When I go visit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
it'll be wonderful. You'll hear this stirring selection from the choir, and then the guy will get up there on the pulpit and start talking about hell. And it's
Wow.
just like, come on, there's like yank the needle up off the record. It
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really think what we think about, we bring about in at least our emotional reaction. So this is nothing new.
I'm grooving to the idea the older I get, since it's nothing but between time and opportunity between me and the dirt nap. I want to focus on a God that is loving.
Yay.
I want to I want it to be a home going, when I leave, that I'm going to be enfolded into the arms of of creation.
I'm
You
with
know,
you. That's the attitude I love.
yeah.
By the way, because we don't talk about it as much,
Mhm.
um, in the Jewish faith, they don't talk about hell hardly. In fact, they don't have a word for hell. They have a term they call Sheol,
Mhm.
which is a place where you go when you die, but it has none of the weight of hell where you're punished. So I think it's curious. There really is a big difference between the Hebrew outlook of, well, is it all bad if you've sinned? Are you punished forever? No, no, you may need time to reflect, but that's okay. You'll have it.
Well, maybe it was just an antithesis to talk about that. What they were relying on generating a kind of vigilance within your own uh, body and mind to look, make sure you don't, uh, fornicate with someone's husband or wife. You make sure you don't kill somebody. So
Right.
so they needed to have a consequence that was so heavy that it would deter you from it. Maybe that's what it was all about.
I think you're,
I don't
yeah.
park any time in a handicap parking spot, no matter how desperate it is, because you know why I don't? And I have lots of reasons why I could. Well, I walk with a cane, but I don't have, because I don't want to pay the fine.
Exactly.
$350. How much time do you think I spend struggling over where I should park? Well, it's not fair. I just move on, park somewhere else, or drive around the block. I don't want to spend any more time thinking about the things I can't have and I can't do. I got other stuff I want to think
Oh,
about that brings me.
absolutely.
I got to get back home and sit in this chair.
Exactly. That's a chair that you can knit in.
That is the happy chair.
That's exactly what I mean. It sounds silly, but anybody who knows me knows Daryl will put on. I had to go to a rehearsal on the Mardi Gras, which was Tuesday. What do you suppose I wore?
Bees.
I wore a whole handful of Mardi Gras beads and I let my students wear them because it brings me joy. It doesn't matter what it is. As soon as I figure out something brings me joy and I'm a happy camper, we're done.
It's good. Yeah. Let's go for it.
It sounds silly, but that is my spiritual practice.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to put hey hey on your shoulder.
Oh, he's making me happy.
I know it's on my desk, but my son's ex-girlfriend, she got that when she was at Disneyland, and I was just like, that
Exactly.
is so crazy, and I love it, and every time I look at it, it makes me smile.
It makes you happy. So what is
Yes.
that worth? What is that worth? A lot.
It's priceless. And the fact that I can wear them on my shoulder and it stays there too.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes with a magnet. It
Oh.
has a magnet in its butt. But it's like, that makes me want to go arg, even though
Yeah,
this
right.
is supposedly, I think hey hey is like a rooster. Yes.
Is it hey hey?
Hey hey, that's what they
Hey.
called him. He's a character.
H-E-Y?
Yeah, H-E-Y, yes. And he's from a Disney film called Moana.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this was her pet chicken.
I need to go see that. That's what I've been
Yes.
out on.
It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, we're gonna show a film. We're just trying to figure out what day, because I got the DVD, and I think it's going to be able to broadcast through Zoom. So we just have to figure out the date and the time. And it's called Ugly Dolls, and for whatever reason, this is supposedly a wonderful, cartoon. Sort of
Let
like
us know.
Soul. Yes, I'll let you know. So thank you so much for this. Let me stop the recording and let's go to our